So we're back. So we are going to do law of cosines. So I'm thinking some of you may be thinking, oh, there's a law of tangent. There's not really. We're just going to do law of sines and law of cosines. So same thing. I'm here in my house without a smartboard to show you all my notes. I have these notes on paper. I don't have the ones that are printed. So I'm sure some of you are in the same situation I'm at. I don't have a printer. It's okay. Separate sheet of paper. All right, we're going to try this again. I'm going to show these to you up on the board. And again, if you need more clarification, we have Remind, we have emails, we have our office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, so please join in, come get some help. So here we go. Law of cosines. Fun stuff. So law of cosines. On the video notes, there are 3 different formulas. They're all the same thing. All right, I'm going to write down one formula, and I'm going to show you how this is going to work. So the basic formula, a squared, notice little a, so that's a side. A squared is equal to b squared plus c squared. Kind of looks like Pythagorean theorem, but we got more. Minus 2 times b times c times the cosine of a. Okay, so then there's other ones on the paper that you have, and it was like b squared is equal to a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine b. Here's the big thing. Notice, one thing I need you to notice on this is notice, I like to call them the bookends. Do we notice that those are the same letters? All right, so angle A and side A are going to be bookends. Or if this was angle B over here, then this would have to be side B over here. Okay, or angle C, then this would be side C. So if that's the case, then notice what happens. Whatever the angle pairing is that I have, the other 2 letters fill in the blanks. Okay, so for instance, if I had C squared, because maybe I had little c, I knew side C, well, then that means I have my A and I have my B that's going to fill in these other 2 letters of the formula. And then when I get to the angle, I have cosine of C. It has to be a bookend. Okay, and the triangles are set up the same way. So big letter means the angle, little letter means the side. Okay, so we're going to start with number 1. Alrighty, and we have an angle A over here, and they gave it to us as 40. We have an angle B, no measurement, but we do have side value AB, which I could also call C because it's opposite angle C. Okay. We have side over here B, since it's opposite angle B, and that's 16. And they want us to find A. Okay, so in law of sines, we talked about how it was either going to be the side angle case or the angle side case. Notice what we have here. In this situation, the information that's given, this gives us side, angle, side. So that's one way. The other way that we're going to see this being used is if we have all 3 sides. So again, I tell you this only because when you're trying to figure out, do I use law of sines, law of cosines, sometimes that's kind of like a good thing to keep in the back of your mind. To think, what do I have? What's given? What's the information given? And that'll determine which law to use. Okay, so we're going to use, we're going to find A, and we're using law of cosines because I have a side, angle, side case. And how do I determine this? Since I'm looking for side A and I'm given angle A, that tells me those are my bookends of the formula. Okay, so I'm going to plug it in. So I don't know that side, but I know the angle opposite. So I know that that's going to be the side by itself in the formula. Then I have b squared plus c squared. Okay, so b squared plus c squared. And then I have to do minus 2 times b times c times the cosine, remember bookends, of angle A. Okay, here's the pretty sweet thing with this formula. You can type this all into your calculator. I even tried this on my phone, and as long as you're really good with entering things on your phone, same deal. You can type this whole thing into your calculator. You don't have to do it step by step. As long as, here's your clarification, the variable is on the other side of the equation. If it's one of these variables, well, then we got to do the whole thing separately. But because all of these numbers are filled in, you can type that all into your calculator. And by doing so, I get 165 point, and I'll get you a whole bunch of decimals, 73155 0.6404. So again, I'm showing you this so that when you're doing this on your phone or a different calculator, make sure you're getting this equivalent. Okay, and now we need a. So I have a squared. I have to think, how do I undo a square? So I want the inverse of a square, which is the square root. So now I'm going to take this value, I'm going to square root that value. And so a is going to turn out, if again, we round to the nearest hundredth, so 2 decimal places, how about 12.87? And that's your law of cosines. Not too bad. Okay, now we'll get a little bit different, a little bit harder when we have the value here and maybe we're looking for the angle. But again, nothing that crazy. All right, so we're going to try number 2. Okay, so now on number 2, again, we have our triangle. There's our angle A, B, and C. And notice what they've given us. We have all sides this time. So I told you in the beginning, we could use this for either side, angle, side, or side, side, side. Well, we have a side, side, side case, meaning I need to find an angle. And they're asking us to find the largest angle. Okay, well, your largest angle is always going to be opposite your largest side. And that would go for the same thing if it said the smallest angle. So your smallest angle will always be opposite your smallest side. So my largest angle then, if my largest side is here at 20, I have to find angle B. Okay, so that's what we are looking for. I have to find angle B. So if I have to find angle B, think of our formulas, then that means side B is going to be my bookend. Side B is going to be the side all by itself. So that means 20 is going to be the value all by itself. And now I'm going to fill in the rest. So does it matter the order of these two? No. Okay, so I'm going to go 16 squared plus 11 squared. And the reason it doesn't matter is because addition's commutative, right? Okay, minus 2 times 16 times 11. And again, multiplication's commutative. You can flip the order. And then we have times cosine. I need the bookend to 20, which is B. So cosine of B. So notice we're solving for the angle this time. So I can't just type this all into my calculator because there's my variable. That's my unknown. All right, so be careful when you enter this. I did this individually. So I have 400 is equal to 256 plus 121. Now I'm going to multiply this. So 2 times 16 times 11. So that's going to get us a total of 352. And then I still have to multiply that by the cosine of B. So we just have to be careful with orders of operations here. Okay. Orders of operations says I could simplify this, right? 256 plus 121 first. So that's going to get us a total of 377 minus 352 times cosine of B. Okay, orders of operations would say I'd need to move this 377 over. So I'm going to subtract that from each side. Okay, so now we're going to have 23 is equal to a negative 352 cosine B. Okay, and I'm noticing on my paper I have an error, so I'm going to do a quick double check here. So we have to divide by a negative 352. That's an easy place to make a mistake, and guess what? That's where my mistake was. So okay, we're going to go back. We're going to fix this up here. So you have a 23 divided by negative 352. That's going to get you a negative 0.0653, and there's a whole bunch of places after that. And now think I want angle B. Okay, so how am I going to get angle B? So in order to get angle B, I'm going to have to do inverse cosine. So inverse cosine of my answer, and if you have this in your graphing calculator like I do right now with a whole bunch of decimals, I'm just going to press that answer button so that I can get the most accurate value for angle B. So if we do inverse cosine, and I'm going to do the answer, we're going to get an angle here. Angle B is going to turn out to be about 93.7 with rounding 5. Okay, so places that you have to be careful, obviously you just saw I made a mistake there. You need to be careful with this negative. Very easy to drop this negative because remember in that formula we're subtracting. Okay, so be careful when you're dividing through that negative isn't going to go away. The other thing you want to be careful with orders of operations. You want to be able to combine these two first before you divide through by that 352. Okay. All right, let's try another one. So we should be on to number 3. Okay. So number 3, we have a rhombus. And so now this is going to mean we have to remember some rhombus properties. First off, a rhombus is basically a tilted square. A rhombus has all 4 sides being equal. So in this rhombus, I believe they have only labeled this side here. They gave us rhombus MATH, fancy labeling. And they gave us the diagonal here is 18. Okay, but I know it's a rhombus. So that means I know if that's 12, I know this is 12, I know all the way around is 12. Okay, and we have to find the larger angle. So kind of like what we said before, the larger angle is going to be opposite the larger side. So if I just zone in on this triangle right here, my larger angle is going to be angle T, and it's opposite that side of 18. So if I need to, I can pull this triangle out. I have 12, 12, 18, and I'm looking for angle T. So there's that side angle pair again that we're talking about. Okay, so we are going to start with the side of 18. So I have 18 squared equals. Now we're going to fill in the blanks with the other ones. So I have 12 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 12 times 12 cosine T. Because remember our angle pairs, those are going to be the bookends for our formula. Okay, so from here, same thing, orders of operations with this, I have to do it individually. So I have here 324 is equal to 144 plus 144 minus, this is going to get us 288 cosine T. Okay. If we add that up, that gets us 288, and I'm going to subtract that over. So subtracting over 288 from 324, that gets us 36. Okay, so now we're back here, and again, I want to be careful with that negative, and I need to take 36 and divide it by a negative 288. So that's going to leave us with the cosine of T on this side. And when I divide that out, I get a negative 0.125. Okay. Keep in mind, we are looking for the angle. So now I need to use my inverse cosine of negative, whoops, I have the decimal in the wrong spot, 0.125. And that's going to get you measure of angle T. So if we do the inverse cosine of that answer of negative 0.125, the measure of angle T is now about 97 point, and again, if we rounded 2 decimal places, it's about 97.18. And so we found angle T, and it said for the larger angle. So keep in mind, if we go back to the whole idea of a rhombus, not only is T going to be that, but in a rhombus, I know opposite angles are equal. So not only is T going to be about 97.18, but I know angle M is going to be about 97.18. Okay. And we have one more to go. Number 4. And number 4 is going to ask us to remember properties of parallelograms. Okay, so here's our parallelogram. So like a tilted rectangle, right? And we know the shorter side is 22. We know the longer side is 40. And we know the larger angle is 116. So I have an acute angle, an obtuse angle. So that means that angle's got to be 116. We have to find the longer diagonal. Okay, well, the longer diagonal is always going to be opposite, again, the bigger side, opposite, bigger angle. So I'm looking for this. So I'm looking, again, if I wanted to draw that triangle off to the side, just so I could see what this triangle would look like. Here's 40, here's 22, I have my angle of 116, and I'm looking for that side. Okay, so here's my angle side pair. So again, I'm going to start by having that side by itself. X squared is equal to, now I got my other two sides. So I have 40 squared plus 22 squared minus 2 times 40 times 22 times the cosine of 116. This is like our first problem. This was the nice one. Everything is all filled in here, my variables on the other side. So this is something you can type all into your calculator all at once. Okay, and when you do, again, depending on your calculator, just double check your answer. I have 2,855 and a whole bunch of decimals after. So I have about 0.53321,835. Okay. And again, I want to get x by itself, so I have to think square root it, square root this whole thing. And x is going to be about 53.44. And so you just found the larger diagonal of that rectangle. So that was your law of cosines. Not too bad, just a formula that you got to remember. I would say keep it out as you're doing it. The more you write down that formula each time you solve your problem, the quicker it'll be for you to remember it. If you have any questions with this, if you're not getting the right numbers on your calculator, send me a text, send me an email, join on to our office hours. I can help you out, and we'll have some practice problems that you guys can try. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hope everyone's doing well and staying safe, and miss you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.